What's even more dangerous is not the fact of Iran or Yemen. Yes, we need to solve those issues and make sure we're not in forever wars. Absolutely. We need to show strength and power. But what have we actually done? We've actually allowed for those same people who literally hate America to be right inside our borders. Today we're going to talk about, again, Texas. How in Texas they've built basically a perfect situation to allow terror to be right on our U.S. soil. We're going to discuss Sharia law in Texas. We brought this story up a few months ago, and to be honest with you, it's like it's not getting traction. And now we're seeing the biggest threat to America is not what's going on worldwide. It's literally what we're allowing here in America. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to discuss what the global push is to take your gardens away. Now, we've heard these stories a lot from the WEF. Even though we seem like we're on a better trajectory, the world is not. Europe is doubling down. We're going to talk about what Klaus Schwab just said about gardens and how he keeps on pushing. Guess what? Mark Carney, who just became the leader of Canada, is one of the biggest proponents of the WEF. So he was there at Davos a few years back. He was almost getting placed and groomed to be the next Canadian leader. So really, we talk again about the dangers of worldwide situations. Texas, now Canada. Mark Carney wouldn't meet with Trump. However, he is a big global proponent for this move of global initiatives. We're going to talk about those stories and how important it is. And then we're going to discuss what Trump made an announcement on dealing with the autopen from Biden. The problem is not the autopen. The problem is the cognitive ability of Biden along with the autopen. Kennedy used the autopen a lot, but it was to sign letters and things like that to win out to fans and people who sent memorabilia to him. It wasn't the fact that the autopen was dangerous. The fact is he was using the autopen, or someone was using the autopen, when Biden's cognitive ability was not at the top. We'll discuss all these stories and how they impact you. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. Thank you again for all the prayers and concerns. We have a video coming out today on Life with Kobe Mack talking about the storms. Misty had a video yesterday come out with the Max Life. We are okay, we're safe. We went through the storms fine. A lot of the areas, neighbors, communities close to us within 20-30 miles were just decimated. So we are blessed. At the same time, we're praying for the ones who went through these storms that really got damaged. We talk about it on the other channel, so go check it out. But your prayers, your funds, your help, anything you can do for those people in different parts of Mississippi means a lot to us, especially because these are people we know. These are people that are neighbors. The death toll is upwards of 18 to 30 right now of missing and ones that are thought to be dead. So we have. So first, before we start the video, again, pray for those parts. Can you imagine losing everything? And I really can't. God's been good to us, and we took shelter, and everything was okay. We had a few trees down, but nothing serious compared to some of the other individuals. Go check out the video. We talk about it a lot more on Life with Kobe Mack video today. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the autopen situation with Trump. Trump said that the pardons and some of the things that Biden has signed, and he's got a task force on it, showing that some of these things may have actually not been actually real. And to be honest with you, some of the things that are quote-unquote signed by Biden may be null and void, including the last few pardons. It's weird how Hunter Biden decided to go to a different country the last few days. It's weird how you've heard nothing and silence on people like Fauci, J6 committee like Cheney. It's amazing how you're not hearing anything, because the problem was not just the autopen. I want to make sure we understand that. Autopens have been used for several years, especially by presidents. JFK was known to use the autopen a lot, but it was to sign memorabilia, souvenirs, things like that. It was never meant to actually make law. The thing is not the fact that autopen was used, because people sign things all the time. Look, I have a stamp with my name on it for bills. The thing is this. The cognitive ability behind the autopen, that's the problem. So if we see a decline in Biden's administration, through his cognitive ability, and he was not able to actually perform some of these duties and tasks. The question is, how much did he know that his quote-unquote autopen was signing? Now, if Trump, JFK, Obama, even Biden, if someone has cognitive ability and they're using a stamp or an autopen, I mean, no harm, no foul, to be honest with you. I think you need legitimate writing, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is no one would question that, I don't think. The thing that makes this situation different is Biden's cognitive ability was not there. Do you remember there's times that he would try to introduce people that were not even alive anymore? There's times that he would have gaffes, and they would say, well, it's just because he's just gaffed Biden. No, it's because his cognitive ability was faltering. There's times he would show anger. So now, are we actually going to see these pardons in some of these last few executive orders be null and void? This could be a big game changer. And again, I think this is kind of like the tariff thing, so don't get me wrong. I don't think Trump is going to target all these people and he's going to go after the Biden family. I don't think that's it. I think he's going to use it as leverage to make sure that no one chooses to pump the brakes on things that he is doing and performing. Because I think what he's going to do is he's going to say, well, remember, I can still go after these people. I can still go after you committee members. I can still do things to you. And I think he's going to use this leverage. Do I believe there will be more arrest? To be honest with you, I'm wondering why we hadn't had arrest already in some of these judge situations and all the other things that we've talked about with files and declassifications, which Trump said he's going to release all of these. So I'm anxious to see actually what happens. It's amazing how Maxwell, the confidant of Epstein, is literally in prison for trafficking. However, no one knows who she was trafficking for. She was found guilty. Spends 20 years there, and what was she doing? Trafficking to herself? No, she was trafficking to someone, and no one actually knows who it is. So there needs to be some things come out. But this Biden autopen thing is a pretty big deal, not because I actually believe that it's going to change much. I really don't. It's kind of like the 2020 election. Do we know fraud was there? Probably. Do we know that things were a little nefarious? Probably. Nothing's going to happen. I think it's used as leverage to then catapult maybe the next agenda for Trump. And I think that that's why this could be utilized and could be a good thing, because it's going to put a little bit more pressure on people like the Faucis and the people of the J6 committee, the ones that are the people that want to push back on Trump so much. That's how I think this could be used. And I'm anxious to see what this next few days are going to look like, because the more and more he talks about it, the more and more other people are talking about it. Did you know scammers could literally steal your home right out from under you? The FBI calls this home stealing. Just think now, one document, because we're so technological and everything that we do is online, one document along with a fake notary stamp. Now look, this is fake. I bought this online for 20 bucks. It has my fake name on it, my fake county, but man, does it look real. You think people can't get away with it? What's happening day in and day out. FBI says home stealing is becoming one of the biggest scams here in America. They could take loans out. They could take your equity. They could take collateral against your home. And one day you look up and your home is not yours anymore. Let me ask you, when's the last time you actually checked your home title? I imagine 99% of you will say, I don't think nothing about it. That's where today's sponsor, Home Title Lock, comes in with their $1 million triple lock protection. Not only does it keep your home safe, it keeps your equity safe in your home. Remember, our home is one of our biggest assets, if not our biggest. Why do we want to be vulnerable? This is what you get with the triple lock protection. You get the 24/7 home monitoring service. Urgent alert for any changes that they see on your title. They want to let you know. And if fraud would happen here in the US, they have a restoration team that will help up to $1 million fix the fraud and to restore your title. Not only do you get a free title scan and a free history, so that way you can know if you've been vulnerable or taken advantage of already, you get to utilize a personal title expert. That's like a $250 value. HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code TheMax250 or click the link in the description. It will be below. Remember, HomeTitleLock.com. Go put the promo code in, TheMax250. Don't miss out not only on the free scan, but the personal expert that could help walk you through these steps when it comes to protecting your home. Remember, it's your biggest asset. Let's not be vulnerable. Check out HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code TheMax250. Now to the stories that really are big, and I think we need to talk about. Now, the Navy has got people going over to Yemen. We've had airstrikes. Actually, a second round is happening. I'm not necessarily for or against this. This is kind of one of those things that I think that if it keeps us safe, great. My thing is I don't want forever war. So I do think that if we do airstrikes and we I kind of did like we did Soleimani, and that's why I'm kind of comparing this with Trump, is because he did what he did to Soleimani right there in Iran, and then no big deal. I mean, it's kind of like no harm, no foul. We did something that we wanted to do. We proved a point. It made Iran scared, and it didn't cause a war. I think this is going to be the same situation, that it just says, look, you want to cause problems for America and shipping goods, not only for us, but for China, for India, for all these other countries. It doesn't really matter what ship is for, but if we can make sure the lanes of shipping is okay, I think this is a good move for peace across America, but not only that, across the world. So I think these one and done attacks is not a bad thing. I'm kind of indifferent to it. I'd like to see what the next week holds, where if escalation takes place, where we do more bombings and then we're done, or escalation keeps on going and we end up in another forever war. I don't want to see a war happening. So I don't think that's Trump's goal. I really don't. I like calling balls and strikes. So I'm not saying that I'm just happy about spending money in the Middle East again. However, if you look at the signs behind the Houthi leader, it says death to America. And so it's like, you know, if they're going to keep causing problems for ships over there, and they're going to keep trying to bomb our ships, and they've been doing that for a long time, then we need to solve the problem, fix the situation, bomb them, let them know who we are, and then go on about your business. That's kind of my thoughts on the whole situation. So when people say, well, what's your thoughts on him? I mean, he said he wasn't going to get in war. I'm not saying he's necessarily getting in war. He didn't with Soleimani in Iran. I think he proved the point, though, don't mess around with America. And I think that that actually makes us look stronger, not only to adversaries, but to our quote-unquote friends, too, the ones who are supposed to have our back, to show we're not playing games anymore. And I think it shows strength across America. And I think that that helps really with a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia. I really do. I think that that's why Trump sometimes does this kind of stuff, because it shows that you can't put your finger on what he's going to do. I mean, no one saw this coming. All of a sudden, he's taking these people out, and everybody wants them out. I mean, even the Middle Eastern countries that are not the best friends with America, most of them do not want to be tied to this group. There's a few countries like Iran or Qatar, or some of those that may say that they're for this group. But honestly, most of the Middle East that wants to somewhat have peace with America and with the world and just want to do trade, they're actually probably grateful of this. And that's why you don't hear a lot of pushback on this situation, because these people have threatened their own shipping lanes and have tried to commandeer and take over goods that are coming into the Middle East. So this actually is a I'd say, again, an indifferent move, because I want to see what happens in the next coming weeks and months. If it's one and done, I think it's a great move, and I think it shows power for America. If it's moving to more money spent over into the Middle East, I'm not necessarily happy about it. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen over the next coming weeks and days. Now, the point of bringing this up is why? Because we have to show that this group of individuals does not like America. Why? Well, they have signs, death America, and all that. But what happened in Texas? Now, I brought this up, and no one hardly picked it up last time we talked about it. But I want to go back to it. Sharia cities in Texas. The biggest threat in the Lone Star State is coming from a development of Islamic cities funded by same countries who are prolific funders of the terrorism that we're fighting in the Middle East. That's why this is a big deal. This is from investigative journalists from Texas. Says the leader of this new quote-unquote epic city of Muslim Sharia law says he knows Texas can't touch him. Why isn't anyone stopping this city? Especially because, listen to this, radical Imam Qadi just confirmed what we already knew. Texas politicians are protecting him while he is building a Sharia city in the name of quote-unquote freedom of religion. What he's actually doing is taking advantage of that situation. That's why I always told you, we don't need to say that we just have a land of free for every religion, because if those religions hate us, then that could be a downhill slope that could cause major problems. Listen to this. He pulled Texas mayors aside and was assured to him that they had his back. He bragged to local officials, city councils, and law enforcement that they were defending him because of his rights to do what he wanted to do when he wanted to build his own development in Texas. Here's the situation. Now he is claiming that he will have leaders and mayors across Texas in this area, leaders in the city council across this area, because he is building a development of Sharia law where he could literally defend his radicalism even against Trump. Now, this person is building mosques, schools, and a city that is funded by Islamic leaders who literally support terror across the world against America. So here's where the problem lies. Texas, you're allowing this in your back door. You know, we talk about the border, and that's a huge issue. You need to shut down the border. But inside the border, and this is the area, I think, of Plano, Texas, and areas around that area where this is not just a mosque that they're building. They're building a complete Islamic culture in this area. If you think of Dearborn, Michigan, it's the same situation. When you look at these areas, we're allowing sleeper cells and we're allowing the attacks on the U.S. to literally be infiltrated from inside the U.S. Now, do I want freedom to practice my religion? Yes, but my religion does not completely disrespect America. It does not come and say death to America. So as a Christian, I want the rights to practice my faith, no doubt. But when your faith goes against our views and thought patterns in America, is it truly the freedoms that you have? It's kind of like when libertarians, I push back on libertarians sometimes, is when they say, well, you know, they should have the freedom to do what they want to do. Well, the freedom to do what you want to do, if it harms other people, then that's not your freedom anymore. That's hurting the person on the other end of what you're doing with your quote-unquote freedom. So the things of freedom, yes. But if your freedoms step over other individuals and cause panic and chaos for the rest of the majority of Americans, then that no longer is your freedom. That is danger. And I think this is danger ahead for Texas. I think if we allow this conservative area to allow this to take place, what you're going to see is this is going to set a precedent for most other states, especially conservative states, where they could build their own sleeper cells in America. And we give them the permits, the rights, and we actually protect them. It says in this development, mayors, city council, aldermen have all been in support of this. What? We are allowing these people who are literally funded by players who do not like America. Now, I want to make sure I understand this. I want to make sure you understand this. This is not funded just to make sure that they can have kumbaya moments in Texas. This is a radical person opening Sharia law, which is not even legal here in America, and we're allowing it to happen in one of the biggest and most conservative states in our union that provides energy independence and sovereignty and also has access to the southern border. This is a big deal for Texas. I want to make sure that we're not making light of it, because this is happening literally. And if it happens here, again, precedents will be set to where it can happen in any state. We talk about Michigan, now we're seeing in Texas. What other states are going to allow for this freedom to be applied? And then we're just literally allowing terror cells to be built here in America. Texas' first Sharia city at a glance with Sharia schools. This new Epic City project isn't just another housing development. It's an expansion of Sharia-controlled society, starting with radical Islamic schools that teach things under this doctrine in Plano, Texas. If you go look at some of the pictures of this and some of this guys talking, it's actually scary that we're allowing this to be right here in America. Pay attention to this. Not only just Texans, pay attention to this if you're in any state, even conservative states, that vie that people can do what they want to do on their own personal land. Yes, I believe in liberty, absolutely. But when your liberty and freedom is danger to society and also in a complete adversarial relationship to America, then that's not freedom anymore. That's danger for Americans. You know how you say, well, I don't want China buying farmland here. I don't want Chinese people buying, I don't want the China government buying businesses here or our ports. This could even be worse, because now we're allowing literally teaching of doctrine that is against American ways and Christianity in some of the most conservative states in America. This could be a very big danger ahead. And I think that if we don't control it now, it's going to set precedents for all over America, and then we're going to be completely not worried about our borders at this point. We'll be worried about what we've already allowed in our borders. And that could be very dangerous. Now, the last story I want to bring up is dealing with the WEF. Now, we think that they don't have power. We think that they're losing influence. And in America, they may be losing influence, but not across the world. I want to talk about this. It says, you just hate to hear these grandiose things, but it's not enough when it comes to the WEF. It says the WEF is demanding the global government enforcement bans of members of the general public growing food at home because of the emissions that it can cause. They're targeting your gardens and your animals and livestock. The global organization claims that homegrown food contributes to climate problems. Now, this is the same people that literally tore down a rainforest to build their new COP30 place of this event that's going to be taking place for global leaders. This is also the same group of individuals that fly their private jets to Davos each and every year. The WEF argues that banning homegrown food will help governments comply to the target of meeting net zero by 2030. Now you're like, well, Colby, America's not buying into this, and Trump really is not. I mean, he turned down, and he did speak to them, but he spoke to them via camera and pretty much put them in their place. So did Argentina, El Salvador. And so you're like, well, he doesn't have power here. Well, guess what? Mark Carney, who just became the Canadian Prime Minister, is a big proponent of the globalist push. He actually is a big Davos supporter. And so here's the problem. It's not the fact that we should be quote unquote worried that Canada is going to attack America. That's not what this is about. What it is we now may have an adversarial relationship not only with Mexico, who has a very leftist leader, now with Canada. The reason Canada and Mexico have been so safe for so long is not because they're powerhouses across the world. It's because their neighbor, America. Well, when all of a sudden we see that not only the trade issues that are going on, but we have a leader like Mark Carney that does not want to actually believe in American freedom and American sovereignty, and also for his own people, he may be pushing some of this stuff from the WEF. What is that going to look like when it's right here on our border? What's it going to look like when the Mexican leader says she's not going after cartels? So here's the problem I have. Not only do we have an enemy within dealing with the Texas situation with Sharia law, we have a global push from the north, and we have a cartel-led south. The problem with this is we're seeing more and more enemies pop up, including Europe. The reason Europe hates Trump so much is because he's pushing against what they've been working for so long, including Mark Carney, the European push for this global agenda. Remember, Europe is a weak continent now. They've allowed for the same thing to happen in Texas started happening in Europe, and they allowed it to happen, and now it's almost overrun. Here's the thing. Europe is just like Canada. Without having the power of the U.S. government and America behind them, they lose. I mean, they're going to get bullied. They really will be. And here's what I'm saying. The reason they try to drag America with them everywhere they go is because they know it's like their big brother, that they'll always be taken care of. So when you hear these global push like this, and they're actually trying to destroy the independence of people, if they can hurt their own people, then their own people becomes more subservient to their government. They believe whatever their government says. They're actually building an alliance that is still pushing for a global move, even while America is not part of that. Australia believes in it as well. When we talk about our NATO allies and all these allies in the world, I think that's why Trump is building such a great relationship with Argentina and with Bukele in El Salvador. I think that's why you're seeing these countries actually say, you know what? We're building new friends and new alliances, because our friends that are quote-unquote European Union and Canada, even Mexico, what we're realizing is they don't like us. And they just want our money and want our power and want our help when they get in a very volatile situation. So I think the WEF, with Klaus Schwab saying something about gardens, it has nothing to do with just gardens. It has to do with the fact that they still are building this global push by 2030 to change and make people dependent on them. And America is not believing in it. But let's go back to the story we just talked about. We can protect our borders all we want. When we allow our borders to be infiltrated, and not only our borders, but allow for people to come in and make little communes and little villages and little civilizations and little epic cities like they have in Texas. I don't think the border is the problem anymore. I don't think Europe's the problem anymore. I believe we're allowing sleeper cells here in America. Enemies within. Pay attention to these stories. Yes, everybody's focused on the autopen. Everybody's focused on the Yemen situation. Both those things are very, very important. But what you don't want to miss is how we're allowing people to come here that actually hate us. The people that we're actually using airstrikes against right now, we're allowing them to be here. And we're allowing them to do it, and we're helping them do it. And we're allowing Terra to put their money here. Do we think that's a smart idea? And then again, the push against gardens may not affect America, but what it will do is make more of these people that are quote-unquote our friends be more reliant on their own governments, including Canada, where they take this hook, line, and sinker and they believe that a global push and a global government is way better than this America First or this Argentina First, or this El Salvador First proposals that you're starting to see. Beware, there's a lot going on and danger ahead, because I believe the stories of the autopen, the pardons, are big deals, but they're not the biggest deal. Pay attention to what's happening in Texas. Pay attention to our neighbors above us. What is their real pushes, and what are they going to allow happen because they hate us so much? That's what we need to pay attention to. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. And again, pray for the families in the areas that were affected by the storm. Remember to check out the other videos. We talk about this a lot more, and you see that what we've done and how we were protected. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.
Be free, be free.